Oh yeah, the other thing that he talked about was the Canada's military buildup in the Arctic, and again about that ridiculous claim about protecting sovereignty and also defending Indigenous communities. When like it's the exact opposite. Like it's undermining Indigenous sovereignty and threatening Indigenous communities. That's legitimately what it's doing. And then framing it like always framing these things as if they're preparing for some type of like vague future threat. But the truth about this is that it's about one thing, and that's locking down the thawing Arctic for resource extraction. And so like every new patrol ship, radar station, and joint NATO exercise is less about deterring Russian bombers and more about ensuring mining corporations can access the Arctic's melting resource frontier without interruption. And obviously, like for these resource extraction corporations and the countries that back them, climate change is not just like a unfortunate side effect. It's the plan. Like as the permafrost melts and as the ice retreats, terrain that was once completely inaccessible becomes ripe for exploitation. The Northwest Passage, once the stuff of doomed expeditions, is now marketed as a shortcut for global shipping. Meanwhile, Canadian officials pretend this is about defense. And it's like, defense of what? Not the land, not the people, not the ecosystem. What they're really defending is capital investment. Ottawa's 2025 strategy is, I mean, their 2024 defense strategy prior to this government was literally titled Our North Strong and Free. It's literally like cribbed from a Tim Hortons commercial. Explicitly in this plan, it connects military spending to economic opportunities. And those economic opportunities are created by climate change. That's what they're saying. And again, none of this is like a conspiracy theory. You can look at the language. The language is right there. They are openly planning to militarize the climate apocalypse so that they can hand off the Arctic to oil and gas and mineral resource extraction companies. That's literally their stated goal. And what are we getting for $38 billion NORAD modernization deal? There's this over the horizon radar to plug the so-called Arctic gap that they talk about. But it's the same thing as the previous missile gap. That was just a complete lie during like the Cold War. That gap isn't where a war starts. It's where insurance firms and mining executives and maritime shipping giants want 24-hour surveillance to be able to protect their investment. And this isn't about intercepting Russian nukes. It's about escorting bulk carriers full of ore and providing logistical support to exploration camps in the middle of the melting tundra, and to be able to mobilize against resistance forces if they appear, if Indigenous resistance does somehow appear. That's exactly what it's about. Just like a greater militarization of the North, like new Arctic patrol ships. They can't fight much of anything, but they're great at showing the flag and sailing in circles near sites for what they are claiming to be future economic development. It's literally just the modernized gunboat diplomacy, while Indigenous communities go without clean water or basic infrastructure. What is it? The Nanisivik Naval Facility. It's a refueling hub on Baffin Island, and it's been in development hell for a very long time, over a decade. Meanwhile, these diesel generators keep Inuit communities running because the federal government can't be bothered to fund clean energy or housing. But they'll build you a radar station so as long as you connect back to NORAD. And when there's what is it, Operation Nanook, an operation that they do each year, it brings in Canada with its NATO allies, France and the UK and Denmark to exercise sovereignty in the Arctic. And what it's really doing is rehearsing for the day that these states have to fight over undersea cables and shipping lanes or the last pockets of exploited gas. And it's not just like countries against each other, right? It's about being able to mobilize military and security forces against any type of Indigenous resistance or just popular resistance in general. And Canada is really just hoping to play second fiddle to the US here. When what is eventually going to be a drone war over the polar ice caps, because that's what all of this is preparing for. It isn't about sovereignty, it's about occupation, not for anything else but for pipelines, not for peace, but for profit. And Canada is not in any way defending the Arctic. It's softening it up for conquest. That's legitimately what it's doing, in more ways than one as well.